What kind of country have we turned into? Where the politicians who collect government salaries no matter what tell you, nope, you have to stay at home, but here's $1,200. Here, feed your family. Here, feed your family with this whole $1,200. Well, what about my mortgage? What about the lights? What about the water? What about the trash? What about the internet? What about cable? What about my car insurance? What about my car payment? What about my kids' braces? I still gotta pay for those. What the fuck? $1,200? That's one tooth for one kid. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of What Had Happened This Week Was. Now, as you can judge from the background, I am back out here with the horses. I took Batman for his walk. Now he's out there burning off a little bit of extra energy, and the flies are eating me alive. So as you all can see, I am wearing my Anaheim Angels hat today because there's no baseball because of the damn coronavirus. And I'm wearing my Marine Corps shirt that I bought after my first deployment back from Okinawa back in 1992. Still fits, I'm a little chunkier now, but many a girl has tried to steal this shirt from me. And all of them have failed. Welcome to summertime. I love it. So Gavin Newsom and all his exaltedness decided to let Orange County open their beaches, even though last week Orange County said, hey, F you, Mr. Governor. We're going to let people go on our beaches and we don't care what your dumbass says. So, yay, thank you, Gavin, for letting all of us do what we were already going to do anyway. And there's a big-ass traffic jam on the 91 freeway, which means more people are getting out. Thank goodness. I love it. Get out there. Don't let the government scare you into staying home. What is it, like 98% of the people that die from the coronavirus, the median age is 80 for people that die. The average life expectancy of Americans is 77 and a half years. Okay, so they got 2.5 extra years and then coronavirus, took them out. And plus, I've heard that the doctors are being pressured to list coronavirus as the death, even if they died of, let's say, liver failure. Like, let's say they've been battling liver failure for the last 2-3 years, or kidney failure, and then they test positive for the coronavirus. The doctors are encouraged to put the cause of death as coronavirus, not the fact that they've been fighting liver cancer or liver failure or kidney cancer or kidney failure or whatever, penis cancer. Nope, it's common. So in someone that didn't die from coronavirus news, this crazy guy is walking around with a damn sword and cuts some other guy in the back of the head, the guy who got attacked with the sword. He calls 911, says, hey, this guy's running around attacking people with a damn sword. So the cops show up, and this idiot tries to hide behind a bush.
As the officer arrived, the suspect fled and attempted to conceal himself behind bushes.
This idiot tries to hide behind a bush. Steve Harvey sums it up perfectly.
As a little boy, he had to be the stupidest son bitch to ever play hide and go seek. This motherfucker just gonna stand on the other side of the tree. Ray, ain't you gonna hide? I'm already high.
Here's the body-worn camera footage of the encounter.
Stop, motherfucker. Stop now. Stop now. Let me see your fucking hands. Stop. 998, Pomona, 998. Second in reservoir, 998.
This guy's last thoughts were, well, they said don't bring a knife to a gunfight, but they didn't say anything about not bringing a sword. I just hope that he didn't have a chance to pollute the gene pool. Thank goodness he's gone. So everybody's talking about murder hornets lately. You know, the media's, they're figuring out very quickly that we're all not afraid of the coronavirus anymore. So what are they doing? They're like, hey, let's try that 1980s killer bee scare thing.
Attention. Attention. This is Miss Schuster. Please listen very carefully. A swarm of killer bees is coming this way. I want every teacher and every student to close off whatever area you may be in at this very moment. Children, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. Quiet. Quiet.
Remember how everybody got freaked out in the 1980s? Because here, I dug up this video from a year and a half ago of this guy doing this in Japan. And then we couple that with a report from last year that they found like 2 or 3 of these in the Pacific Northwest. And so they encourage people to put out, traps to see if they could find any more. And nope. They didn't find any more. It was like 2 or 3. They probably, stowed away in some cargo or, got here accidentally and then accidentally got found. And they're like, what the hell are these things? They're just trying to give you reasons to be afraid to stay at home. This kind of crap right here is completely irresponsible journalism.
As if COVID-19 weren't enough to worry about, there is now a murderous hornet from Asia here. It is gigantic, has the potential to be able to decimate the honeybee population here, and it stings like the devil. Jim Murray spoke to a couple of guys who found that out firsthand.
What's it like to be stung by a giant murder hornet?
Ah! Oh, this thing is stuck in my arm. Ah! Oh! Oh, searing pain. My hand is completely seized up and locked in place.
Wildlife expert Coyote Peterson got stung on.
You can't even call that journalism. They are using footage from a year and a half ago that I used, that you all saw, of this guy stinging himself. I did a whole video about murder hornets. I'll put a link down below if you want more info about the truth about murder hornets. But yeah, it's not real. They're not coming to get you. Oh, and we found out that idiot panic Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, in his freaking knee-jerk panic reaction, sent $1 billion to China, to this Chinese company, to build us masks. Because he was like, we need like hundreds of millions of masks. I'm going to send you guys $1 billion. Just make the masks for us and send them to us. And he didn't tell anybody that he sent it to the exact same company that he sent $500 million to a couple years ago to make us electric buses that didn't work and that caught fire when they tried to go uphill. So idiot Gavin Newsom spent $500 million of your California taxpayer money on electric buses that didn't work, and when they did run, they caught fire because they couldn't handle the weight. So he sent $1 billion to that exact same company to make us masks. That's your governor. You know, he spent $1.5 billion a year dollars on crap that doesn't work. It's like he's ordering this shit off of Wish.com. Come on, Gavin. Why don't you go to Amazon.com? You can get like an electric bus for like $350. You don't need to spend $500 million. I know. I seen them. Oh, and then 2 mouth-breathing Alabama idiots shot and killed a black guy for running through their neighborhood. I don't know how much you have all seen on this. But I've seen the video. I'm going to insert a little clip of it here. I'm honestly, I'm kind of torn on this one. Now, I think, obviously the guys were in the wrong, but I also think if I'm running down the street, let's just say I'm running through Inglewood. I used to live in one of the towns right next to Inglewood called El Segundo, but let's say, for whatever reason, I'm running through Inglewood. Inglewood, always up to no good. So let's say I'm running through Inglewood and 2 black guys, in a 6 Faux Impala convertible cut me off. And then one of them standing in the back with a pistol and the other one jumps out with a shotgun and says, "Hey, I want to talk to you." I'm not going to do what this kid did. I'm not going to run up and try to grab the shotgun from one of these guys. The exact same thing can be said for if you're a black guy running through a predominantly white neighborhood and 2 fucking mouth-breathing hillbillies, one standing in the back of a pickup truck, one jumps out with a shotgun. The one thing you don't do is try to wrestle the shotgun from them. It's just dumb. You're 100% guaranteed to die at that point. The best thing that you can do is comply and hope they don't kill you. So, and the same with my analogy. If I'm running through Inglewood, 2 guys pull up in a 6'4" Impala, one standing in the back with a pistol, the driver jumps out with a shotgun, says, "Hey, white boy, we want to talk to you." I'm like, "Okay, well, can we please just talk? I forgot to learn how to fight, and I didn't bring a gun." So, that's that story. I'm a little divided on it. Yeah, they shouldn't have chased him down. Yeah, they should have called the police. Yeah, because they thought that he was a burglary suspect. And by the looks of these 2 mouth-breathing idiots, I mean, obviously you can tell that there's not a whole lot of... They probably have about 108 IQ points between the 2 of them, being generous. But, the guy, he's 20... I think he was 26. He should know better. You don't... Somebody's got a gun. Don't wrestle it from them unless they're distracted or, you don't run straight to them. So anyway, that's how I feel about that story.
That's all I have to say about that.
Oh, and my new favorite hero since Tulsi Gabbard dropped out of the election is Dan Crenshaw. Dan mother effing Crenshaw. You know him. He's the one that the left media criticized as being a guy who looks like he's out of a porn, as the one-eyed pirate porn guy, bad guy. This guy, he's a congressman out of Texas, where they are arresting nail salon shop owners. No joke. They sent this gal to jail because the $1,200 stimulus check isn't covering her bills for 2 months. Shocking. It's not covering anybody's bills for 2 months. So, anyway, and the judge said, "Hey, we'll reduce your sentence if you apologize." She's like, "Why would I apologize, Your Honor? I have to feed my kids. The people that rent spots for me in my salon have to pay for their kids. How can you stand there and take away all of our rights when he's getting paid? The judge is getting paid whether you are or not. And then he wants to stand there and then cast shame on you for breaking rules because you want to feed your family when his family's well taken care of. What kind of country have we turned into? Where the politicians who collect government salaries no matter what tell you, nope, you have to stay at home, but here's $1,200. Here, feed your family. Here, feed your family with this whole $1,200. Well, what about my mortgage? What about the lights? What about the water? What about the trash? What about the internet? What about cable? What about my car insurance? What about my car payment? You know, what about my kids' braces? I still got to pay for those. What the fuck? $1,200? That's one tooth for one kid. Come on, Your Honor. Oh. So Dan Crenshaw, you know, he said this, which sums up everything that I've been saying since February. When they said, and I'm not racist because I do this, or is that still a thing? I don't know. They saw Obama doing it. I just do this because it's like, it's me pinching a point. It's a subconscious thing that people do. Like, you know, when people lie, they tend to like do subconscious things. This is me pinching the point.
All right. Meantime, let's bring in Texas Congressman Dan Crenshaw, former Navy SEAL, author of the book Fortitude, American Resilience in the Age of Outrage. He joins us from his location. Congressman, because you are representing a district in Texas, wanted to ask you about Shelley Luther, that salon owner who said, look, I got to reopen. I know I can't open right now, but I got to do it because I got to put food on the table. She was held in contempt, or rather, she was issued a cease and desist order. She tore it up famously at a public demonstration. And then in front of the judge says, you want to apologize? She said no. Listen to this.
I have to disagree with you, sir, when you say that I'm selfish, because feeding my kids is not selfish. I have hairstylists that are going hungry because they'd rather feed their kids. So, sir, if you think the law is more important than kids getting fed, then please go ahead with your decision, but I'm not going to shut the salon.
Congressman, it seems like what every parent would do. I mean, ultimately, you need to feed your children. We do know that a GoFundMe page has been started, and over $500,000 has been raised for her so far. Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, you know, these so-called leaders and these so-called judges across the country, you know, arresting moms and dads. And of course, she's not the only case. A dad was arrested in Colorado for playing catch with his daughter. A paddleboarder who was paddleboarding alone in the ocean was chased down by police boats in California. Guy in Florida had to be sent to court because he was trying to sell takeout out of his restaurant. This is happening over and over. And these so-called leaders, these so-called judges, they need to take a civics lesson. Okay, these laws will not be respected if they are not respectable laws. People are not dumb. They can understand and they can assess whether a law makes sense, whether it's really based on data and public health. And a lot of these things aren't, right? We've seen a lot of rules being passed that simply don't make sense. And then they go further. Then they want to actually punish you. They want to use the full force of the law, fine you, throw you in jail, arrest you, take away your freedom just because you're engaging in activity that was previously perfectly legal. Okay, engaging in a voluntary transaction with another human being has long been a legal and perfectly okay activity. And to all of a sudden make it illegal and then use the full force of the law to enforce it, that goes against our very basic values. Listen, I'm all for the guidelines, okay? But the government has to use the lightest touch possible. And these so-called leaders are not doing that. They are infringing on people's freedoms, all while, by the way, advocating to allow other criminals who have previously been in jail to be released. So it's contradictory in that sense too, and it's in complete contradiction to our Constitution and our way of life and what our society is founded upon.
I mean, I'll give you an example. Why can't you go to a car wash? Why can't a jewelry store open up on Mother's Day a few days before in order to maybe sustain their business? Why can the liquor store be open And why can I go to a supermarket, but I can't go to a sports store? Why do they expect people to really think that's rationalized behavior? Why do they think I can't walk on the beach or get this, sit on the beach? How dare I sit on the beach? I could get a fine if I sit and sunbathe on the beach as opposed to sit on my couch, where 66% of the people who have been hospitalized in New York were people who are sheltered in place. Dan, we're not stupid.
Because they're drunk on power.
This is not
they're
working.
Drunk on power. They think we're stupid. They think we're stupid, and they're drunk on power. And this is why you're seeing people rise up. Americans are sick of it. They have a sense of injustice. They have a sense that these so-called leaders, these so-called judges, they have a sense that they're not actually implementing the law, because these aren't laws, right? These are executive orders. They have a sense that they're not really implementing justice as we understand it as a culture and as a society. We know that they're doing the wrong thing, and we have to call them out for it.
I mean, this has gotten absolutely bonkers. You have jails releasing felons like the 7 sex offenders from Orange County, California, that got released because they were afraid that they might get the coronavirus. And then you have this poor gal in Texas going to jail because she's opening up her shop so that she can feed her kids. Like Dan Crenshaw said, there are at least like 6, 7, 8 stories out there of small business owners that would rather open up their shops and risk going to jail, which they do. And then they're letting all these prisoners, felons, domestic violence, they're letting violent offenders out of jail because they're afraid of the coronavirus. They're letting white-collar criminals that have taken your money in some kind of scheme or scam, they're letting them out of jail. So what do you think all of these people are going to do that you let out of jail? What do you think they're going to do? They're going to go right back to stealing your money. They're going to go right back to raping your kids. Good job, law. It's a good thing that we lock up the salon owner, because heaven forbid if somebody gets their hair or nails did, you know, like, what are you guys thinking? As you can see, Dan Crenshaw freaking nails it. He nails down everything that I've been trying to say since mid-February, when they were talking about, oh, we're going to have to start shutting things down, do this and that. Never in the history of America has anything like this ever happened. And everybody gave away their rights so easily. I didn't. I was like, I didn't care. I don't know if it was legal for me to come out and see my horses. I didn't care. I'm like, you can't stop me. I mean, if you want to, well, I guess, yeah. You get enough guys and enough guns on something, you can stop any civilian. But it's like, hey, you know what? You want to arrest me? Then fine. Let's set a precedent. You know, this is unprecedented. Like I said, on the whole unemployment thing, went from the lowest unemployment rate ever to the, you know, highest in just 60 days because everybody gave up their rights. And now I'm glad to see everybody's like, hey, you know what? We are the many. We are the one. They're supposed to serve us. They're our employees. You're supposed to serve the public. You're supposed to be a public servant. They're not serving us. They're serving themselves. You know, now you got companies like the Souplantation just said, you know what? Fuck it. We're taking our bowl. We're going home. They said, we don't even care what it's going to look like. We already know. In a post-COVID-19 2020 world, like, why would we're not going to be able to operate and make any kind of profit. We'll just take our profits now and lay everybody off. So now those 45,000 workers or whatever, they're going to have to find new jobs. You know, and you're going to see a lot more of that. You know, it took 60 days to completely crash the economy. It's going to take us years to get back to where we were. I mean, 2020 is going to end up being the year that didn't exist. Nobody's going to ever go, oh, remember back in 2020? No, yeah, we didn't do anything. It's always going to be associated with badness. It's always going to be like, oh, yeah, remember that one year when nobody was allowed to go outside and we listened? And then we found out that it was all just a big power grab and it was all a hoax. You know, they wanted to crash the economy so they can get Trump out of office. And then Trump had to go along because if he didn't go along, then they can paint him as the bad guy and say, look, you know, Trump caused 70,000 deaths. If he would have just listened to us, 70,000 more people would be alive. No, they wouldn't. They would have been like 40,000 of those people would have been dead in 5 months anyway, so who cares? Never in the history of America have they said, well, 0.01% of the population is affected. So we're going to lock down 75% of the population. And the unemployment rates just came out this week. So we have 14.7% unemployment. This is the most unemployment since the Great Depression. So we went from the lowest unemployment rate in American history in January to March, the greatest unemployment rate since the Great Depression. And like you just saw Dan Crenshaw say, it's the frickin' Democrats. They're saying, hey, we're not going to allow you to work. We're not going to allow you to make money for your family. We're not going to allow you to support yourself, but we're going to give you $2,000. And then that way, in November, you'll vote for us because you say, hey, look at how gracious we are. We gave you $2,000 of your money that you have to pay back and that your kids have to pay back. This is like the weirdest. This is the weirdest. If Ray Bradbury wrote this novel of exactly what's been going on in the last 90 days, it would be literature that people would have to study in college about what we don't want our democracy to turn into. It is totally a Fahrenheit 451. It's a 1984. It's every worst case scenario that you've ever read from, I don't know, probably since freshman year in high school. I think they start making you read like all the books about, you know, about what happens when you give people too much power, or what happens when you, the many, relinquish the fact that you have the power. Vote these assholes out of office. What is wrong with you? Why are you so scared? You're watching this video. You have the internet. Just go out and just do a quick Google search. How many people are in America? 327.5 million people. How many people have died from COVID? 75,000. Why are you punishing 327,800,000 people because some old people are going to die? Look, we all love our moms, dads, grandparents, and especially with Mother's Day being tomorrow. Of course we love them. Of course we would give, you know, almost anything to spend an extra, you know, 3, 4, 5 months with them. Like I said, 45% of the people that are dying are in resting homes or assisted care or nursing facilities, whatever you want to call them. 45% of the deaths. And the average life expectancy of somebody in one of those homes is 5 months. So should we lock down the entire country so that you can have an extra 5 months with somebody who's dying anyway and more than likely is on so many drugs or has, you know, dementia that they don't even remember you anyway? Is that the way? Do you want to watch them die slowly over the next 5 months instead of something, you know, maybe just quickly cuts them out? And that comes from a guy who spent the last 2.5 months with his mom watching her die of pancreatic cancer. So it's not like I don't have a heart, and it's not like I don't empathize. But, you know, you have to draw the line somewhere. Because, you know, in order for us to have life, there has to be death. You know, do you want your kids to not be able to go to college or graduate from college or graduate from high school so that they can They can't even go see their grandparents anyway. You're not allowed to visit them because you have to socially quarantine. None of it makes any fucking sense. I'm baffled why anybody would obey any of it. Anyway, that's my rant. I didn't want to talk about COVID. But tomorrow is Mother's Day. So if your mom is alive, give her a call. Say, hi, I love you. And talk to her for half an hour so she could drone on about how you never call, how you don't pay enough attention. Don't go see her because you might have the COVID. Just say, hey, Mom, as soon as this whole COVID thing is done and, I'm going to show up, give you a big hug, big kiss, because you owe it to her. Nobody, I think it was Jeffries who says, hey, nobody will ever care about you or love you as much as your mom does. And that's doggone true. So that's what had happened this week. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. I hope that if your mother is alive, that you call her and tell her that you love her and wish her a happy Mother's Day. I will see you next time. Bye.